Everyone, I'm Riya, Mathew, and we are back again with another episode of Voices of the Community by FOSS United. In this podcast series, we have some candid discussions with some of our active volunteers from the FOSS United community, where we know more about them, their stories, their experiences, and the like. So, today in this episode, I have with me Ansh Arora from Chennai. Welcome, Ansh.
Hi Riya, thank you for having me here.
So Ansh has been actively involved with the community, especially the Chennai chapter. He's been an avid volunteer, and now step up, he's also interning with us as a community manager. So Ansh, why don't you start with a little bit about yourself?
I'm a third year computer science student. I am originally from Haryana, but I'm based out of Chennai right now, where my college is. I mostly work with backend technologies and cloud, and I have been volunteering for FOSS United since the last 6 months, and now I've recently onboarded here as a community manager intern. I'm a community first person, so naturally I like attending meetups and giving back to the community any way I can. I am a huge movie buff, and I occasionally read books somehow.
So Ansh has been actively involved with the community, especially the Chennai chapter, and now a step up, he's also interning with us at FOSS United as a community manager. So Ansh, let's start with a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a third year computer science student. I'm originally from Haryana, but I'm based out of Chennai right now, where my college is. I like computer science naturally. I work with front-end technologies and cloud a little bit. I'm a community first person, so I like giving back to the community in any way I can. I have been volunteering for FOSS United since the last 6 months or so, and I recently onboarded here as a community manager intern. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So you mentioned that you are a community first person. So how is your touch with FOSS? Are you more into community building and evangelizing FOSS, or do you find yourself interested in writing software as well?
I mean, I've been into communities since a long time, but being involved firsthand, organizing events and everything, that's something new for me, which started with FOSS United itself. And as far as code or community is concerned, I think I like to follow a little bit of balance between both sides. Coding is something which I'm really into, and that has gotten me to all the opportunities, and which is also a hobby that has been a hobby for a long time. But the community is how these skills or these hobbies of mine have been implemented, and how I've been able to get these opportunities. So I think a little bit of balance is what drives me and helps me push forward, and is basically, I think, for anyone who's just starting out, you shouldn't be hesitant to contribute or be part of the communities around you. And of course, you will have to take out some time from your academics or your side projects and everything, but the community definitely has its way of giving back, so you should definitely try to be a part of it if you can.
Great. So it was Chennai FOSS, our City FOSS conference. It was one of the first first set of City FOSS conferences that we hosted, and it was also one in which I was actively involved. So coming from Kochi, Delhi, Mumbai, and then the tour and everything. So how was your start with? How did you get involved with Chennai FOSS, and how was the experience with it?
So I think it's a little bit of guilt from my side that I couldn't be involved with the Chennai community way sooner. So the conference planning started around November, and I only got to know about it very late, and I think it was supposed to be at the end of April, and during the first week of April I sort of visited the FOSS United website and saw what was happening. So I booked my tickets, and I saw there was a Telegram forum, so I joined the channel, and I saw Vishal there, so I texted him, how can I help? And he was like, yeah, sure, why don't you help us with outreach? Now, I didn't know what outreach was at that time, so I just said, hey, I'll do some on-ground volunteering, and I'll help with the logistics of the event. But yeah, that was how I got into the community, and it has been a pretty great journey. I think Chennai FOSS itself was one of the first developer conferences that I attended, and it was an absolutely amazing event considering it's entirely volunteer driven.
I so missed being there on the day of the event. You remember, right?
I do, yeah.
So all the back end work that I call it, behind the scenes things that we do for a conference. I was there with, I think I was more involved with Hari and Mugilan and Emmanuel at that time. You were more into the on-ground things, right? So after Chennai FOSS, I see that was when the Chennai community also started growing organically. So how do you describe the trajectory of the Chennai community, the meetups, the initiatives that you do, and the things that you've come together as to form a community? So the highs and the lows, everything.
Right, so I mean, Chennai FOSS was definitely a huge success, and I think all the volunteers, Hari, Emmanuel, Mogilan, we were all of the view that we should definitely take this forward. So, we proposed to Vishal that, hey, let's do events more often here. So that's how we started FOSS United Chennai as a chapter, and we took a good 15-20 days break, and we started planning for our first meetup. It was in June, I think. Yeah, so we collaborated with the college, and so we had our first event at VIT Chennai. We collaborated with the technical club, and we had around, I think, 150 people. It was entirely student driven, so all the attendees were students and the speakers were students. So that was something that that is how we kickstarted it. But since then the efforts had been to make this community more diverse and inclusive, and have more professionals and people from other domains at the meetups, and that has been happening. We have seen a very good growth. Then we planned a Linux installation party. So the idea was to help people switch to Linux based operating systems. So I couldn't make it to the event because of some college exam or something, but I heard it went pretty well. We switched, I think, around 5 to 6 people. So that was amazing, and I think overall the experience has been amazing. As far as the Chennai community is concerned, the growth has been unbelievable, and we just did our last meetup this weekend. So I mean, you were there. I mean, it feels really nice to see how we've been able to grow this community from ground zero.
Nice. So when it comes to the FOSS United community, right, you've been involved with two important aspects of it when it comes volunteering and involvement is concerned. So the first one was, of course, the FOSS Clubs for our student initiative, and then, of course, IndiaFOSS. So that was a pretty much solid experience for all of us, right? So let's start with FOSS Clubs. How's your work with FOSS Clubs going on?
Right, so I was introduced as the club coordinator for the FOSS Clubs program for this batch. So I'm working to coordinate things between FOSS United and our leads. It has been absolutely amazing. We ran our first batch of applications. We have around 12 college clubs now. So we have onboarded them. We had our introductory calls, and it's just the start of the program, but it's going great. We have some great people, and I mean, it's nice to see that there is so much involvement of the student community and interest as well into the free and open source ecosystem. And I mean, it's been amazing. I didn't personally, in my college, there's no culture on FOSS, and it's nice to see people coming together and exploring stuff, learning together, organizing events. I mean, almost every college right now has done 1 or 2 events so far. They've had their introductory calls. They have recruited more people. So I mean, I really like the pace at which this is going, and I think it's going to be one of our very successful initiatives, and I'm looking forward to see how it goes.
Everyone is, actually. So then coming to IndiaFOSS, right? So that was pretty more extensive. The planning and everything started early June, and then we also had to stay true to our objective of making IndiaFOSS a true volunteer-run, community-driven FOSS conference that has full of community spirit. So how was your experience with IndiaFOSS? We sort of expanded our team, to around 40 to 50 plus volunteers coming from across the country, and I was pretty emotional at that when I mentioned it at the opening note. So yeah, how was your experience with it? You were involved in it pretty actively, right?
I mean, yeah, IndiaFOSS has been one of the best experiences in terms of everything I've done in this in the open source software ecosystem or communities in general. It is also where I've had the most fun talking to people. I've met all sorts of amazing people, from all the city chapters and on-ground volunteers and the open applications we ran for volunteers. And it's amazing to see people just contribute without any expectations in return, and put so much time into this. And even the scale of the event, it was phenomenal. We saw over 1200 1300 people at the conference. So it was definitely amazing. And of course, it is for a conference of this scale to be entirely volunteer driven, that is amazing in itself, seeing. And and on that large of a scale, to like 40 volunteers, I personally didn't believe that we can actually do this with just 40 people, but it happened somehow, and it was amazing to see people put day and night into the conference. The last week was, I know it was so hectic for everyone, but the fruits, you would say, they were amazing.
Right. And one of the key aspects of IndiaFOSS that you yourself started it, you brought in the idea, was the diversity, sponsorship, and the scholarship. So what was your motivation behind bringing that concept into action?
So I think it just started with a discussion with Vishal and some friends, that people told me that they want to attend the conference, and they just don't have the means, and it becomes very expensive to actually go to a different city and stay there for 2 days and attend the event with all the logistics. So the idea was to, if we are so hesitant about it, there's going to be a lot of people who are in this ecosystem, and they definitely want to attend this event, but they may not have the right means to be there. So that's how the discussion started, and we proposed, what if we can make a fund or a donation page for people to contribute to as individuals or organizations as well. And that fund will help people from underrepresented backgrounds to attend the event, and so they don't have to worry about the logistics and everything. That was how we started, I think. So we quickly made the forum posts and everything, and the community was supportive. We got a few messages, and that we should do this. So I think over the weekend, the donation page was live, and I remember, so as soon as we took it live, within 5 minutes we had gotten a donation of, I think, 60,000 rupees. We eventually raised over 1.5 lakh. So if, as per our calculations, it would help, I think, over 100 people to be there at the conference. But one of the challenges was, we later realized that raising money was not the problem. Now we have raised a lot of money, now it should go to the right place, and we have to look for people whom we can have over at the conference. So we did this in 2 ways. First was targeted outreach. We looked for NGOs, NPOs, or communities that we can reach out to, who are actively working in this space, and how we can benefit them and their members. So we reached out to Women Tech Makers community. They are based out of a small city in Tamil Nadu. So we had folks from that community here, and we reached out to Navgurukul, which is an organization I personally admire a lot, and their efforts to make education so convenient for underrepresented women. So yeah, we had people from there. We also had people from Villipuram Linux user group, which is again a small community based out of a very small city. So the efforts that everyone took in reaching out and planning the logistics for it, because of course this is not something we had planned in prior, and there was a lot of additional workload, but I feel it went well, and we were eventually able to have 60-70 people at the conference. And of course, apart from that, we ran open applications as well for people whom we are not able to reach out to, but they have been following us in the past. So around 10 people, I think we got quite a few applications for the scholarship, and we had over 10-12 people through the scholarship, like the open application program as well. So I think we raised 1.5 lakh, and we were able to utilize and put into this program around 1 lakh rupees. And with the remaining money we have, and also people have still been contributing, so we are hoping to make this initiative reach more communities. And now we will be planning our City FOSS tour next year, so we are hoping we can carry this on to future editions.
Right. So this was one of the ad hoc initiatives that we planned as part of IndiaFOSS, and then it really showed successful impact coming out of it. So what about coming to IndiaFOSS, and then over the past few months, your active involvement, and now you are actually part of the team as an intern. So, how was the transition from volunteering to working at the organization?
I mean, I didn't feel it to be much of a change because I have been involved in this community for so long, and it just feels like what I had been doing previously. I mean, now earlier I was managing, say, the Chennai chapter. Now I kind of overlook the other city chapters and coordinate with FOSS clubs, but the idea behind contributing to this organization remains the same. So I don't feel like I'm working. It used to be a hobby, contributing and volunteering for the community. It still is, but but considering the internship and everything, it's been amazing. Of course, hanging out with you all, and I've met a couple. I mean, I've met so many amazing folks in the community from all our city chapters and our first batch of club leads. So just talking to them gives me so much perspective and ideas about how we can scale these initiatives better. So I mean, it's been amazing, honestly.
And this is also the first time we are having some much people in the team as well. Earlier it was Vishal alone, then I joined in, then it was both of us running the show, and now we have really good people in the team as of now. So when it comes to working as a team, what is your, do you have something sort of like a work schedule? Because you have your college, all the parallel activities that happen along with it, your side projects, then the community management. So how do you balance sort of all this?
So I mean, college is hard to manage, honestly, but I think I can't exactly say how I manage it because my college may have some problems with it. But yeah, I mean, it's a hobby for me. It's something I genuinely like doing. So when you are that into something, you start to kind of find time for it. And I have since the starting, my weekends have always been, in the weekends I'm usually just doing something for the community. It could be attending an event or helping organize events, but this is something that I personally enjoy doing, so I'm able to find time for it. And as far as side projects are going on, of course I still really love coding and I try to find time for it. Time management is something, of course, that needs to be kept in mind when you start volunteering in this sector, and maybe you need to lose a little bit of sleep, but it's worth it, I feel, personally.
All right. So the year is drawing to a close, Ansh. So we are already at the end of November, and soon it will be the year end. So we all had some really good moments working as a team, interacting with the volunteers, and on our personal note as well. So what are some of those key moments that you cherish?
I think IndiaFOSS 3.0 was definitely one of the key experiences for this year that I am definitely going to cherish for a long time, until the next edition at least. But yeah, I mean, just seeing how everything unfolded and how successful we were, that was something that really, it's unbelievable, honestly. I mean, it's been like 2-3 weeks to the conference now, and I still process some things, how we did everything, and those were some really amazing memories. Of course, starting with FOSS United Chennai and ChennaiFOSS is how I got into this community, so that is something I really cherish, because if I wouldn't have dropped that text to Vishal that, hey, I wanted to help, maybe I wouldn't be in this place right now. So I mean, that's something the community has really given to me, and that's something I'm really grateful for.
Nice. So for the next year, do you have anything, sort of like personal goals, work goals, something like that set up?
I want to read more books. I think I was definitely reading a lot during the pandemic.
You were an avid reader before.
I was. In fact, in the pandemic, I was trying to read at least one book in a week, but then college started, and I haven't been able to keep up the pace, but I'm hoping I'll definitely read more books this time. And as far as work is concerned, I'm looking forward to our City FOSS tour of conferences. I hope we'll have a couple of more great conferences, and then of course IndiaFOSS is in the picture. So I'm really looking forward to it.
So that's our next year wrapped up, even though it's really early to say that. So before winding up, any special message that you would like to say to the community in general?
Yeah, of course. I mean, as a student, I feel if you are struggling with academics and there's a lot, in this sector, imposter syndrome is something that really comes into play, and
We have all come to
of
that,
course,
right?
but still, I think if you find these initiatives and you're genuinely interested in contributing, I'd say go for it. It's definitely worth it. It's hard to take out time, with your side projects, academics, but I feel it's just very worth it. And try contributing to it. Reach out to people, drop messages, and hopefully it'll all work out.
Nice. So that was our story with Ansh. It was a really great time it was really great that I got to have this chance of having this conversation with you. So thank you so much for joining us today. So that was our story, our discussion, our conversation with Ansh. And I hope to bring more volunteers from the FOSS United community in our upcoming episodes. So thank you for watching and tune in to our YouTube channel for more. Thank you.